morning and glory to the God, the great creator, the communicator. I started a series a couple of weeks ago about the major religions and their beliefs and their symbols that are part of our logo. And I'm going to take a break from that today because of another talk that's important, and then we'll get back to it next Sunday and go through the other ones. So today's a two-part talk, which means the second part will kind of fit in with the first part but expand it a little bit more. I have been a dedicated metaphysical spiritual student since 1975 and a dedicated New Thought student since 1983. I have experienced the ego world, and I have practiced so many times in moving into forgiveness. The years that I've been studying have been about integrating a central idea that this world is not real, but a dream, and we are innocent, not separate, and one with God. In my life, I moved from wrong-mindedness to right-mindedness throughout the years. I have forgiven all sorts of conscious grievances as best I could. I've watched my mind like a hawk. I prayed, meditated, and experienced the holy instant. And I've witnessed uncountable miracles through my hands, through Source, and from Jesus through me as a teacher. I have been happy in living clarity and right-mindedness for many years as best as I can, and I've been teaching this truth to all of you and to my clients. And I know that those around me are also happy and at peace because of taking this truth in. I went through a period last fall and winter where I felt separate from Source and disconnected. I didn't feel it like I used to. And I knew something was going on, so I kept the energy going as best as I could until I started to wake up again. Lately, more deeper insights have come to me, and there have been a lot of changes going on inside. There's more connection to Source, but in a different way. And it all started this past Easter, which is the beginning of the spring spiritual festivals that have been happening March and April and May. It went through Wesak, which was 2 Sundays ago, which is Buddha's birthday, and it's the beginning of the spiritual new year for us as spiritual peacemakers. And it went through connecting last Sunday, the Festival of Humanity, which is the connection of all of us as the one of God. And on Monday, Memorial Day, which was celebrating freedom. At last Easter, the theme of my talk was resurrection and relationship as the single daughter and son of the Father. And by grace, it says that at countless times a greater shift has happened in all of us. I have found myself experiencing new energy with everyone, here with you, here with my clients, and at my house as a new location. It's as if the gates of heaven have opened up and I feel like I'm in a new world. Jesus calls it the real world. It is all consciousness. It is Christ consciousness, which I talk about so much. It's been the experience lately from the Course in Miracles, I live not I, but the Christ lives within me. I've been feeling that a whole lot more. And it's the realm of the kingdom where all is light and spacious, open and free, and there's the openness and the oneness of everything in life. In this space of the Christ consciousness, there is no thought of any possible need, only the realization of love and light, how real it is, as clearly as the world is an imagination or a dream. This Christ consciousness is a location of permanent residence within each of us, and entry to it depends on not having a single concern of any kind, to let all the worries go. It's a place of abiding and resting and enjoying the presence of all it is. It is knowing that everything is well and perfectly cared for without any idea of opposite or duality. And then when it is time to step back in the form world, it is by grace, through unfoldment and ease of fulfillment. It is clear this experience of love must continue for all of us to guide us in our lives. It is a place of natural wonder and endless everything. And any idea of fear is silly from this place that we can get into. Why? Because the Christ consciousness inside is home. It is real. It is right where I am and where each and every one of you are. And that's all there is the Christ consciousness. And yet the joy to want to give it away to others is irresistible. I feel that within myself so many times lately. The fire within me is to open up to the field of Christ's mind is so compelling inside. It is the complete realization that every single word that I have studied in all the books and the programs I've gone through is true. It has helped me in my life and helped others. And now is the time of forgiveness being fulfilled by grace. Entry to that is also easily accessible and right where you are. It does not take a long time, beloveds. It only takes dropping everything else and focusing on the Christ consciousness, on the forgiveness of past judgments. I know that I am part of a collective, integrated, and joined readiness and a new permanent residence in this kingdom of God, of the Christ consciousness. And I know it is at hand for all of us, for me and each and every one of you to seek it. To do that is as natural as breathing and the reality of living the statement in the Bible on earth as it is in heaven. And that is our goal during this time. It is completely available and present experience. And so I ask all of you to wake up more, to join me in this state of consciousness called the Christ consciousness. And please recognize that when you have quietly shifted into the kingdom, it happens very subtly. You may not know all of what's going on, but you feel a little switch, a little change going on inside. That's the beginning. When we are finally making the invisible world visible again by choosing it, by enjoying it, by recognizing it, and then giving it away. Jesus was telling us this when he said, enlightenment is not a change, but a recognition to see that we already are that. This is an important time to share this information, which is why I'm sharing it with you, because it's a time when we get to celebrate our freedom from the ego fear and all aspects that puts us in fear, which fits in with the movie we watched last night, by the way. And it keeps us from not feeling free to be who we are. That's what we want to be, is free to be all of who we are in every moment of the day. So I thank you all for being here in this moment, in this place, to hear this. I know that I love you, and God loves you, and God has blessed us all. And of course, I thank God, Spirit, Source, Infinite Mind, all the aspects of it, and all of you who have been doing your own work of forgiveness over these past many years. Jesus said, when a quantitative amount of learning is accomplished, a shift occurs. And that's what's happening. There's a shift occurring in all of us. Wake up to it. Feel it. And know that the time of the Christ is in us right now, in this today. So having said all of that, as a lead-in, let's talk about the steps to take to make that alive inside of us. How to connect with all the energies that are coming into us through these spring festivals right now, especially the Wesak Festival, Buddha's birthday and the beginning of the new year. In the past, I've done celebrations of that ceremony here at the church, but I didn't this time because it was Sunday, and after service I went home and did it myself because it was very important to do this festival, this ceremony, and hopefully we'll do it next year together. The full moon, when the sun is in Taurus, marks the beginning of a new spiritual year. It is the perfect time of the year to give our life a new direction, to start over again, to start something new, or to renew something that's already existing within us. So how do we get started, beloveds? Step number one is to make a commitment to our own spiritual awakening. So what does that mean? What is a commitment? It comes from the Latin committere and means to unite. So com, with, together, and mittere, to release, means to let go. When we commit ourselves to a higher ideal or spiritual goal, then we unite with that higher goal. And it is by us uniting over and over again with ever higher and higher ideals that we climb the ladder of evolution. We have this evolutionary goal, and our goal is to sublimate our lower self. And when we do that, we commit ourselves to our higher self, to our oneness with God, to the Christ consciousness. So when we have commitment to our life and to our goals, it saves energy and time and unnecessary struggle. Commitment forces our focus through our three bodies because it allows us to focus our thoughts as well as the forces of our emotional field and the emotions that we have, and the ones we yield in the form of physical action, so from the body. Without commitment to a higher goal and ideal in our life, we end up scattering our forces and losing our path. And when we do that, do you feel scattered sometimes when we're not connected? We weaken ourselves. But when we do the opposite and when we focus our forces, we strengthen ourselves. And when we focus our forces on a higher ideal, we literally invoke all of those higher ideals to come into us. The Christ consciousness is there and waking up. So while you do this, remember that we live in a sea of energies and forces, and we attract into our aura for our immediate personal force atmosphere the kind of energies that resonate with our inner thoughts and our emotional activities. Or as New Thought says, the law of attraction. We bring to us based upon what we're thinking, what we're feeling. As such, when we commit to a higher ideal or a spiritual goal, our striving towards that higher ideal magnetically attracts the higher atoms and forces necessary for us to realize our commitment. The universe wants to help us in our growth. That's what that says. All we have to do is be committed, and then we start attracting to us. And remember, the word commitment means to unite. When we are committed to something, we eventually unite with it and we become one with it. And that says that our purpose of life is our conscious union and identification with the divine self. The Christ consciousness. That's our ultimate goal. So don't postpone it. Make a commitment to your spiritual awakening now, beloveds, here and now. It is the solution for all of your problems in your life. So the second step after doing commitment is to make a plan. So let's say you've now made a commitment to your spiritual awakening. It is time for a plan. We lovingly call it the Creator's plan, the divine plan, because that's all that matters is God's plan for us. And rumor has it, by the way, that it's perfect, just the way it is. Now, since we are made in the likeness of our Creator, it is a wise idea to do as our Creator does, as our Creator speaks to us, as our Creator wants us to express ourselves, to do as nature does. So take a moment and look at your body. Our bodies are built according to a plan. This body contains all the instructions necessary to express the full range of cell types. Because the cells communicate to one another, this physical body carries the instructions within it to follow a plan. A plan is a thought form. It is actual construction. So you want to make it a habit to make plans for every aspect of your life. Because when we formulate a plan in our life, we can be coherent in our endeavor. With a plan in place, we focus and concentrate all of our energies on a goal. But however, without a plan, we end up piddling away our energies all over the place, and we end up going nowhere. We get stuck. We feel empty then. Therefore, before you start any endeavor, make a plan. And it's almost like what I talk about here. It's very important to do a prayer, to do a vision. What is it that you want? How do you feel about it? Bring it all in. Feel it in your body. And it's like making a plan. Here's my vision, here's what God wants for me, and my plan is these steps to take. Plan your finances, plan your health, but most importantly, plan your spiritual growth and evolution. Because whether you realize it or not, beloveds, as you grow in being a spiritual peacemaking, you are aspiring to be a yogi. And the word yoga comes from Sanskrit, and it literally means union, just like commitment with the divine, with the Supreme. So all of us, as the beloved beings that we are aspiring for union with this divine, are we not? It's the biggest thing that we want in our lives. So we could already acknowledge that we are one with Source right now, and we will always be one, and we are a human family. We are this family here, and the family that we have out in the world, and the family of man all the way around. And even though we see that at times, we do not yet consciously realize totally our divinity and our union with divine Source. We have fears that get in the way. We have blocks, we forget, and then we feel separate because of our ego. So collectively speaking, there are times that separation still feels more real to us than the oneness. But however, we are rapidly awakening to this beautiful reality of eternal oneness as this new age or the fifth dimension unfolds right before our eyes. One thing that's new about this new age is our collective awakening. We feel it. All of us have had it going on lately. I know because I've had it going on, and we're all one. The one thing that's new is our collective awakening to the insight that we can initiate our own growth and our own awakening through self-initiated effort. Said another way, it means we can take our life and our spiritual growth in our own hands and purposely create and design the life that God has given us. And we can consciously participate in our evolution that will project us forward on this spiritual plan. So the magic word, beloveds, to use is initiative. What is our evolutionary goal? For millions of years, the forces of evolution have forced us to grow by pushing us to open our hearts and expand our consciousness, without us having the faintest idea in our brain awareness of where we're going or what's pushing us on. But however, with the dawning of the fifth dimension, it starts to dawn on us that we can consciously cooperate with the forces of evolution. First of all, by understanding where is this journey taking us. And secondly, by originating the initiatives inside that help us reach out and accomplish our evolutionary goal. So again, our current evolutionary goal is to evolve our consciousness from a place of being self-aware to a place of being soul-aware. Connecting to God inside, to Christ consciousness. That's our soul. That's where we want to connect. The forces of evolution have brought us to this moment in history where we stand, all of us stand on the verge of becoming conscious of ourselves as eternal souls. Not only us, but people in this world. And we got to look past all the pains and the upsets that are going on and know that something is happening on a soul level for all of us. And then we take a giant step towards that, and we wake up to the reality that we're not our bodies, we're not our personalities, we're not the problems that occur in our lives. We are eternal souls. We are here to learn and to love. And when we wake up to that reality and becoming soul consciousness, then we can start taking initiatives to help us cross the finish line. For millions of years, the forces of evolution have forced us to grow, as I said, and open up our hearts. So this soul-inspired initiative is the key for all of us. It unlocks the door for expansion of our consciousness. Christ consciousness, beloveds, that's the steps we're taking. Please understand that. Lack of soul-inspired initiative keeps us stuck in the wheel of rebirth. But soul-inspired initiative is the way out of that wheel. To say, I don't need to be stuck here anymore, going through old things over and over again. An initiative is a plan to go somewhere. So plan your spiritual growth. Work on your mind. Work on your emotional nature, on your physical life. How about working on your speech or your posture, your family life and relationships? Bring everything of your life into alignment with your soul's plan for your life. That's the connection of oneness. If you are to master your life, you must learn to consciously yield these forces that you have within you in service of a loving purpose and plan. So a plan is a bridge between the abstract and concrete plane. So I want you to sit down at some point, and as part of a ceremony for yourself, which was happened to me during WESOC, make some plans for your own spiritual growth and evolution. This is one of the wisest things you could ever do. But your mind might say to me, why? Why do I need to do that? Well, our spiritual growth is the only thing that will take us into eternity, connecting to our soul. At the same time, enabling us to master, create, enjoy our life right here and now. So, we've talked about two things. Let's go to part 3, which is how to execute the plan. Once you've made a plan, then you need to execute it. A plan is a beginning, And the word beginning literally means coming into existence. So the beginnings in our life may appear small at times and insignificant. Something happens to us, we feel something in our life, and it's the beginning. And it's one of the most significant things in our lives because it is a cause, beloveds. It's the beginning of something. It's causing a movement of energy within us, and we need to wake up to that. And as the energy moves in us, and we get a lot of energy coming through with the spring festivals and everything else during the year, then our life moves. Because every cause has an effect. Every beginning leads to an end. So the very moment that we think a thought, it begins to exist on the mental plane. And when we begin to execute that plan, we help it to come into existence. Think about that. That's why we look at ask and you shall receive. All you have to do is have a thought about something, and God is creating it. And we ask and say, this is what I want to receive. So, maybe you could put down some ideas of cause and effect and look at the things that are happening in your life. What have you been feeling lately that's a cause? And what's the effect that you got from it? It's like seeds, planting of weeds in a garden, not weeds but flowers. You get to see the outcome of it. You have a thought, you say, I want to plant this. I'm planting roses. And I take care of it. I water it, I pull the weeds out, and I get to watch it grow. It's the same thing within us. It's very important that we plant our seeds. And one of the biggest problems of humanity is that sometimes we expect to reap something without sowing. But you got to plant the seeds. All things visible and invisible are part of the eternal law of causation. We can choose what thoughts to think, can't we? We can choose what words to say, what actions to take. But we cannot escape the consequences of any of the energies that we have set into motion. It's going to happen. So what we want to do is make the law work for us instead of against us. So, beloveds, you have been here. You continually do it whether you're aware of it or not. You make a commitment to your spiritual awakening. You've made a plan, and now you execute it, knowing that it's a thought form. It comes from God. It's a cause, and it will lead you to success in your life on a level that you've never experienced before. The Christ consciousness is the outcome. I can feel it. I have felt it more since Easter. As I said in the first part, I want all of you to feel it. Let's all join together in making our plans work. And if actually you need help in making a systematic plan of action, ask me for some help. That's what I'm here for. In the meantime, let's all wake up to this divine energy that's coming in. It's affecting us on a positive way. I am really blessed about it, and so are you. Namaste.